Alright, Brothers Monkeys, welcome back. And this week we are, this week is our 200th episode. I've actually been on for 200 episodes. It's hard to believe it's been that many. But I wanted to do something really kind of special for this one and do like an AMA, but I didn't have the viewers or the subscriptions to be able to go live on YouTube or TikTok or whatever. So I've been spending the last couple of years, when I knew this episode was coming up, petitioning on Facebook and Reddit and Instagram and everywhere else that I post to send me questions that I could use on this AMA. And I'm just going to go through and ask them. I've got them all written down on these index cards, and so we're just going to go through and answer those questions, all right? So, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So right off the bat, we're going to start a fight here, apparently. I haven't made any big secret of my displeasure with Games Workshop over the last few years. This isn't going to turn into a big I hate Games Workshop thing or anything like that. But they're kind of the big boy of the whole tabletop gaming thing with books and miniatures and videos and subscription services and all that kind of stuff surrounding their hobby. So you certainly can't argue with their success. And of course they have, being a giant public company, they've got shareholders and people like that to answer to. So they've got reasons for doing what they do. I personally have, you might have noticed I've stopped using Games Workshop miniatures in most of my videos. I've started painting mostly Reaper and other companies like that, Raging Heroes, Bombshell Miniatures, things like that. I'm trying to get away from the Games Workshop stuff for my videos. I've also been trying to get away from using Games Workshop paints and been transitioning into other brands like Army Painter and Vallejo and things like that. And that is because Games Workshop has, over the last few years, taken to going after YouTubers that violate their IP, which I understand the need to protect their IP, I understand the need to have their copyrights and what have you, but when you're going after people making fan films with Space Marines or people doing battle reports of their games and things like that, then it starts to get really scary for the rest of us that are like, are they going to send me a cease and desist for painting Space Marines or painting Tau or what have you? Are they going to send me a cease and desist just for using their paints on my miniatures? I don't know. It gets really kind of unnerving at that point, and kind of Gestapo-like tactics that they're starting to use. So I just prefer to distance myself as much as possible from them and stick to using companies like Reaper and Bombshell Miniatures and places at Vallejo, places that are made for miniature painters and are much more appreciative of their audience and their clientele. Reaper in particular is just the miniature painters company. I mean, they produce miniatures, they produce paints, they produce like brushes and airbrushes, and that is it. They don't put out games, they don't put out videos. Well, they put out some videos on how to paint, but that's it. There's not a whole big empire around it, and they make their figures kind of generic enough to go with any other game system, so they're not tied down to any one system, and that's what I really like about the emphasis is more on the miniature painting than on the gaming. And that's what I really like about Reaper. So yeah, that's how I feel about them. I just rather not deal with them any further than I have to. Okay, that's really kind of a cool question. I would say Assassin's Creed, I think, would be a fun tabletop game, but there was a Kickstarter recently that just came out with a tabletop version of Assassin's Creed, and there's been some problems getting it out to the public and getting out to the people that back the Kickstarter. So it remains to be seen if that one's any good. Besides that, I don't know that Doom and Fallout were all that much of a success. I haven't found that many. I think I found one copy of Doom one time, and I've seen a couple of box sets of Fallout miniatures, but I haven't really seen a whole lot in the way of those two games. So I'm not sure I'd call them a success, but you know, maybe not. Other video games I'd like to see made into tabletop games. I think Fable would be a fantastic tabletop game. I think there's a lot of potential in there for some really cool miniatures and gameplay mechanics with the different settings between Fable 1, Fable 2, and Fable 3, and the different clothing and armor and weapons and all the customization. And some of the factions I think would just be fun to paint, like the Balverines and the Hollow Men, and I think the Hobbs would be a lot of fun to paint. Yeah, I'd like to see a Fable tabletop version. I think that'd be pretty cool. Listen to a pretty wide variety of stuff. I used to have my radio on in the background, and then I didn't think it was that loud that it would pick up on the microphone, but I got dinged with copyright violations for a couple of videos because you could hear the parts of Guns N' Roses in the background or something, part of a Metallica song. So and then of course to record, I'd have to get up, go across the room, turn off the radio, come back, sit down, record, go back, turn on the radio, come back and paint. I got to be kind of a pain. Sometimes I'll put on YouTube videos, just like pick a playlist I like on YouTube and let that run. That way I can just kind of reach over the laptop and hit pause and record what I need to record and then go back and hit play. A lot of times I'll plug in I've got this little, dig this out, this little thing here is a DVD player. It's actually like a CD-ROM kind of thing that plugs into your laptop. So I've got that down here, and I'll bring down movies. I'll watch like the Highlander TV series. I've got all the box sets of that. I'll watch that. I'll watch Netflix, something on Netflix. Anything I'm watching on my laptop is pretty easy because I can just reach over and hit pause and it'll stop playing. So a lot of times I'll watch, sometimes I'll watch YouTube videos on my tablet or my phone or TikToks or that kind of thing. So it's a lot of different stuff. What led me to start making videos really is boredom and a desire for money. That's really what it comes down to. Boredom is a dangerous motivator. They say boredom sets into the boring mind, but so I try to avoid that as a motivation for anything. But really, what it came down to was I was in between jobs, and I was painting some miniatures, and they just came out absolutely gorgeous. I think it was the Death Watch set from a game that had come out, and every miniature just looked better than the one before it. And it was like the more time I had off between jobs, the better I got at painting, and it was just looking so amazing. I said, I need to find somebody. I had posted on Facebook, just jokingly, I said, I need to find somebody who will pay me to paint miniatures all day long. And somebody said, well, why don't you start a YouTube channel? Okay, start looking into that. I got a camera and I recorded, I got a bunch of like cheap webcams and recorded my first few videos on those, and those are the ones that you can see in the Old and Loud folder on my YouTube channel. They were bad. The video quality sucked. The audio quality was horrific. It was just bad videos. But I did those, and I did a bunch of them, recording a bunch of them before I ever posted one. So the day I posted one, I went out and got a new microphone too. And actually, the first day I posted one, I posted the video, and then immediately shut down all my social media. I turned off Facebook, turned off Twitter, turned off Instagram, everything, and went out and bought a new microphone at Micro Center. Went to Barnes & Noble. I found a book called YouTube for Dummies, which I probably could have used about 6 months ago, and then went to a movie, and that was it. And then when I got home that night, I got to see all the comments and likes and all that kind of stuff on the video, which was way cool. But yeah, imposter syndrome hit me hard. So it was like, why am I making this? So yeah. So kind of along the lines of my last question, when I talk about the imposter syndrome hitting me hard, the advice I would have for anyone who started making mini painting YouTube is just do it. Just jump in. You learn a lot of stuff by just doing stuff. For example, I got the cameras, and I started making videos, and I realized those cameras weren't going to work, so I went and got a better camera. I went and got a better microphone. I've learned about, how to do the title cards and whatnot by just messing around with the thing, and learned what music works best with what videos, and a lot of it by just playing around. Like I said, there's a book called YouTube for Dummies that's remarkably helpful in hashing out a lot of that stuff, and especially how to market yourself and how to monetize yourself on YouTube. For that kind of thing, but you have to have a certain number of followers, a certain number of subscribers and viewers to monetize. So I'm not quite there yet. But yeah, for anybody thinking about doing anything, I would say just go ahead and go do it, and then worry about what other people think about it later, or not at all, because it doesn't really matter. Here's the thing. I could watch 100 videos on non-metallic metal, right? And I'm just not getting the technique. I don't understand it at all. I don't get what's going on with this. I'm not sure how to go about doing this. And then one video will make that click. Your video could be the one that makes the technique click for somebody. Even if there's 100 other videos talking about it, nobody else can say what you want to say the way you say it, the way you have to say it. So just do it. Just say what you got to say. Express yourself. Make your videos. And that your video may be the one that explains something in a way that makes somebody go, "Oh, I get it now. Now I can do this technique. Now I understand." So yeah, just you've got a voice. Use it. Nobody else can say it, can do it for you. So yeah. What historical period would you like to paint, and why? I think I'd probably paint like World War I figures, just because I live in Kansas City, and the National World War I Museum and Memorial is here in Kansas City. It's like 2 minutes from where I work. So if need be, if I'm stuck on something, or I need to do some research or whatever, I need a new book to cover some gaps in my knowledge, I can always just like hop over there at lunch and grab what I need and come back. That's a very good resource. Museums are always a great resource for this kind of thing, but for historical painting. But yeah, that resource is like right there. So why wouldn't I take advantage of it? The other time period I think I would do is probably Vietnam, the Vietnam War, just because that was still a conflict when I was born, and so even though I was very young, it didn't actually wrap up until I think between 75 and 77. So I was still like 5 or 6, and my mom's watching this on the news. A lot of the movies that came out when I was a kid, like Rambo and Missing in Action and movies like that, all revolved around Vietnam vets, and so that was a very impactful time period of American history, and and I've read a lot about it, and I've seen a lot of documentaries on it and stuff like that. So I think if I was going to paint historical miniatures, I would probably paint something, you know, Vietnam related, or something along the lines of like Desert Storm, just because that was what was going on while I was in the service. So again, there's a lot of research materials, a lot of stuff available for that, because it was on CNN all the time. Besides like modern military stuff like that, I would probably go with the Warring States period of Japan, because I love samurai. I love the pageantry and the heraldry and all the different colors of samurai armor and all the different types of samurai armor, and it's just an amazing time period for me. So that's what I would do. Samurais or World War I or Vietnam. I will not. Mostly because I don't paint competitively. I mean, you've seen the kind of stuff that I do on this video. It's not going to win any awards, but I'm aiming for a tabletop standard of painting. My goal with this channel was to get people to look at the stuff and go, oh, I can do that. I can follow along with his videos and get that results. Whereas people like Vince Ventrella and Miniac and, you know, Angel Giraldez and people that are fantastic miniature painters, guys that I watch and look up to, and I think they're amazing miniature painters. But I know I can watch their videos and follow along with them and not end up with anything that looks like that, because I just don't have the skill set for that. But again, going back to the question about, you know, nobody else can say what you need to say the way you need to say it. I realize there's not a whole lot of people aiming for an achievable tabletop standard of it, okay? I'm not looking to be the next Bob Ross of miniature painting. I'm looking to be, you know, the first Tom Beckett. and get things to a reasonable tabletop standard that still looks good on the tabletop and still looks fantastic, but it's not competitive. And competitive miniature painting is just, I've entered competitions before and I've won competitions before, but it's always stressful. I spend way longer on a miniature than I think I should, just trying to push things to the next level, you know, and it's not worth it. And there's most of the game stores here in Kansas City don't hold painting contests anymore anyway, because apparently like some years ago somebody pitched a bitch about who won, and it soured the owners on ever doing this again, so they just don't do it again. So that's that. Yeah, no, I'm not going to be entering any painting contests. I don't have anything to prove to anybody. I got my videos up. You want to see what I do? Go watch the videos. Favorite project I've worked on. That's a tough one, because I've worked on a lot of really cool projects. I got some dragons I'm really proud of. I think my favorite one that I've done has been the Eider Miniatures Golden Gobliness bust that my brother-in-law sent me for Christmas one year. Fantastic little bust. I decided to do some modifications on it where if you're familiar with this bust, she's got like a leather coat on with a fur collar. I ground down the collar until it was flat, and then modeled another collar over the top of that so that it looked like she was wearing a kimono, and I modeled the obi belt on it, and painted her like a geisha gobliness. And it was nerve-wracking because I felt like the bust was way above my skill level at the time, and I ended up having to repaint it like 2 or 3 times. Once because something didn't turn out the way I thought it would. Another because I accidentally damaged it and then had to strip it and repaint it. It was this whole big thing. It was just such a mess. But I did that off camera, so I don't think there's a video for that. My favorite thing that I've done on camera has to be the Call for Help figure by Thorbjorn Barone. And I believe there's a video I believe the video came out last year. The video series, it was like 4 of them, came out last year. That was my favorite one that I've done on camera, because again, that was like a large art piece, and it was different from the stuff I'd done before, and it came out so beautifully. It's just so gorgeous that I ended up having to hang it on my wall up in my room. So that I think that's the favorite one that I've done, the call for help figure. The first mini I painted has been Lost to Time. You got to understand, I'm 51 now, and I just turned 51. And actually, by the time this video posts, I'll be 53. So, my first miniature I painted when I was 8 or 9, back in like 78 or 79. 80, 1980, somewhere around there. And it was, I have no idea what it was. I mean, I've come across some really old miniatures in my box. I did a series a couple years ago about a box set of Grenadier Wizards that I think came out in 1980. And those are probably some of the oldest ones that I've repainted. But I've got so many old minis. And some of those have been out for 4 or 5 years before I bought them and painted them. So, I grew up, before the internet, before Google, and before a lot of the stuff that we come to rely on now for miniature painting. And I just flat out, I didn't set aside the first miniature I painted. I didn't know it was going to be a big thing when I'd been painting for a few years. So it didn't occur to me when I painted my first one to go, this is my first miniature. I'm going to put this aside on the shelf with a little tag under it that says firsties. I know a lot of people do that now so they can judge how their skill has increased since then, but I just flat out don't remember. It's been forever. Yeah, sorry. Probably not. I don't see them changing their business practices enough to make it worthwhile. Plus, I've kind of gotten into the thing of painting individual miniatures, and making each video about one figure and focusing on that one figure, and making that the star of the video. And because GW battles involve huge armies of figures and things like that, then I don't want to paint 10, 15, 20 of the same figure for an army. I'd rather paint individuals, and I think it's more interesting, it's more entertaining, it keeps me more engaged with the miniature painting process itself, rather than, okay, I painted this shoulder pad, now I'm going to paint this other shoulder pad, now I'm going to paint another shoulder pad, now there's another shoulder pad, and I got 6 more of these to go. Yeah, I'm just not interested in it. And their individual character models are $30-40 each, and that's ridiculous. I saw when they came out with the dragons for Age of Sigmar, dragons looked fantastic. They're big plastic dragon kits, but they were $160. And I looked on the Reaper site and I thought I could get 5 dragons of equal size. I mean, pretty big damn dragon models from Reaper for that same $160 that I can get one from GW. So it's just not. GW's just kind of priced me out of doing anything with them anymore. If they want to send me free stuff, I'll go ahead and paint it, and make a video of it, stuff like that. But I'm not going to spend any more money on them. Biggest disappointment of my painting career, I think, has been sometimes posting on social media can be kind of a disappointment. I stopped posting on Reddit because it was just a cesspool, You know, I was getting people that posted their first mini 10 days ago, their first miniature they've ever painted, telling me I need to blend my skin tones better. And I'm like, you don't know how to blend your skin tones. What are you telling me? I've been painting since before you were a thought. And it just, you know, people commenting just to be trolling and things like that. It's just, I don't understand the need to comment something if you're not going to add something to the conversation. If you're not bringing some value to the table, just keep your mouth shut. You know, you don't need to make a point to go online to tear somebody else down. It's not necessary. You know, of course, I was still raised in that generation of if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. So just shut the fuck up. As far as miniatures, I haven't come across anything really disappointing miniature wise, because there's some amazing companies making miniatures. Even the old school stuff that I've dug out and stripped and gone to repaint has taken to new school painting techniques really well, and they look really fantastic. Like the box set of Wizards I did was largely done in contrast paints, which weren't even a thing when these miniatures came out, and they look amazing in them. It's just absolutely fantastic. So yeah, there's not a whole lot of disappointment from the miniature painting community. It's mostly from painting online. Or not painting online, but posting online. I think the biggest disappointment I see, now that I think about it, is, and this is going to sound like just sour grapes coming from me, but it's the young pretty girls that post videos complaining about sexism and the patriarchy and gatekeeping in the industry, and don't post their miniature painting, so we can't see if they're decent miniature painters or what they're bringing to the table hobby-wise. And yet companies will bend over backwards to send them free paints, free miniatures, free brushes, whatever, to review, when that's not what they're doing. They're not reviewing these products. They're just complaining about the patriarchy. That's a little disappointing. I'd like to, you know, companies, if you're going to send free stuff to mini-tubers, send it to the ones that have actually demonstrated that they use your products, or that they will use a similar product. Like Army Painter, if you want an endorsement, send me stuff, man. I'm unabashed Army Painter fanboy. I will review anything you send me. So, anyway. I've actually thought about this a lot, and I have actually thought about branching off or making other playlists on my YouTube channel for the other stuff I do. Like, I belong to the Society for Creative Anachronism. It's a Middle Ages recreation group that basically recreates how things were done in the Middle Ages and arts and crafts and what have you of the Middle Ages. So there's costuming, there's all kinds of stuff. Pretty much anything that was done in the Middle Ages, there's somebody in the SCA that knows how to do it. And so I thought about branching out into those kind of videos. I make chainmail armor. I make period correct chainmail armor, where it's all starts out with mild steel wires, coiled cut, riveted, all that kind of stuff, all by hand. And so I have thought, and we do demonstrations out at the Kansas City Renaissance Festival as part of my guild for that. We're on the Living History Tour. So I've thought about taking a camera and setting that up and walking people through how to make chainmail, how to do riveted mail, the tools you need. Do a whole separate channel on chainmail. That's what I got my silver hammer for. It's Arts and Sciences Award for the SCA for my kingdom. And yeah, I wear that all the time because I work my ass off to get that. So yeah, I'm going to wear that all the time. But yeah, I thought about doing other videos of the chainmail, leatherworking. I do a little bit of woodworking. Just maybe I'll do a video walking you through how to make one of the little demo boxes that I use to carry my stuff to Renfest in. So yeah, so that's what I would do. I have, and I think anybody who's been painting for any long period of time gets burnt out after a while. And again, not to pick on Games Workshop for the third time in this video, but it usually happens when I was painting Games Workshop stuff. When I was painting, like, have to paint the whole army, and every figure was just the same thing. You know, paint the green, paint the base color green, paint the steels, paint the reds, paint the tans, paint the purity seals, paint the emblems on the shoulder pads, all this kind of thing. And it was just do that on one figure, then on the next figure, then on the next figure, then on the next figure. And it's just, when you start working assembly line style like that, it's real easy to get burnt out because you're not paying any attention to each individual figure, and you're just trying to get a job done at that point. So yeah, it's easy to get burnt out, and it happens. And that's kind of one of the reasons how I overcame it, was just switching to something else. Like while I was painting my armies, I'd paint like 5 figures, and then I'd paint some Reaper figure that interested me, or I'd paint something from some other company, or like a fantasy figure if I'm painting Space Marines. Paint something completely different from what I'm doing, just to be doing something different, and that was a huge help. The other way you can get around burnout is just take a break from it. It's one of the big reasons why I was kind of grateful for the pandemic, because while I was out of work for the pandemic and still getting paid by my company and still getting the unemployment pandemic benefits, there was like a whole year that I didn't actually have to work, and they were actually encouraging people to just stay home and not work if you didn't have to. And so during that year, I was cranking out 4 or 5 videos a week, and it enabled me to get a whole year ahead on the videos. And that's why my videos are shot so far ahead of when they actually post, because I've just been working on that backlog. The great thing about that is, if I get burnt out, if I just don't feel like painting, if I'm just not feeling it one day, I could take a day off. I could take a weekend off and just not do anything hobby related, and just sit on my ass and watch TV for the weekend and chill and do nothing. And I don't feel bad about that, because I know I still have enough videos that I could take probably a year and not paint anything, and still have videos for that entire year. So yeah, build up a little bit of a backlog, and that'll give you some breathing space. You're not worried about, like, oh, I have to get this done because I have to post a video on Friday. No, just, I have to get this done because I have to post a video in February. Just, so that's that. My plans for this year's videos, I got a lot of cool stuff coming up. Like I said a little while with the previous question, I've got videos done a long time in advance. So this year's videos are already done. They're already in the can. They were done last year. But I did do some cool stuff, and I've got a plastic box sitting on my workbench of all the miniatures that I painted last year, and all the videos that I did of them. And it's like, I'm looking at this box thing, and there's some cool shit in there. There's some cool stuff. I can't wait for some of this stuff to get posted, and get the pictures of the miniatures to post on Instagram and all that, because there is some neat stuff. I've got some neat stuff coming up this year. Yeah, I don't want to give anything away. Most of the stuff that I have planned coming up here, I kind of already addressed last week in my State of the Monkey address. My plans for this year, my goals for this year, the things I would like to achieve, things I would like to do. So yeah, go back and watch my State of the Monkey address from last week, and that'll show you what I got coming up. All right. I hesitate to say anything because I don't want to give it away. I'd say that the Dragon December thing that I've got going on now, I got a cool model coming up for that, and I think it's going to look really spectacular when it's done. I'm really happy with it. I've got some old school miniatures. I got some new school miniatures. I've got oh, the thing I'm really one thing I'm kind of excited about. I've got some. Yeah, I don't want to say anything about that. I'm going to hold off and let you see what's coming up when it comes up. I'm going to keep my mouth shut on that one. Thanks. Alright, so that's some of the questions I've had come up in the last couple of years, and have been posted on either DM'd or sent to me on Reddit or Instagram or Facebook or what have you. So I hope I answered your questions. If not, hit me up on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, and you leave a comment down below, or DM me, email me. My email is in the description of the video. I think it's over there. And shoot me a question. Let me know what's on your mind. Let me know what you want to see on future videos, and I'll see if I can make that happen. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye. Hey Brush Monkeys, Tom from Flying Monkey Studios here. If you like what you see, click like down below. If you want to be notified when new videos come out, go ahead and click subscribe. It's like over here somewhere, right there. Those will both help with my YouTube numbers and bring me that much closer to monetizing this channel and being able to do what I love to do full time. If you want to get your hands on some of the miniatures I painted here, visit our Instagram and Tumblr pages. I post pictures of both of those on a regular basis. I post videos on TikTok on a regular basis, mostly to direct traffic here to the YouTube channel, but there's some other stuff there that's kind of cool. So go check that out. And if you want to show some love for your favorite monkey-based miniature painter, go check out our merch store at storefrontier.com/flyingmonkeystudios to get our t-shirts, sweatshirts, long sleeve t-shirts, can cozies, aprons, face masks. We've got all kinds of stuff there in a bunch of different colors, including tie-dye. We've got some tie-dye shirts on there if you want to check that out. So go check that out. Go check us out on our other social medias, and follow us on Twitter for updates on the channel as well. And thanks for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye.